All right, guys, we're going to be waiting about 2 to 3 more minutes and we're going to be going live. Alrighty, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started now. I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on today's webinar. Today, we're going to be going over acquisitions, which is primarily for investment real estate and real estate investors, as well as real estate agents who work with real estate investors or are investors themselves, who want to learn a little bit more about the acquisition style, kind of some things to look over, some angles and ways to do acquisitions, and a little bit of the definition and also how to do acquisitions as well. This is going to be a two-part segment. Today, we're going to be covering a little bit more on the structure, the outline, what acquisitions are, some ways to go find them. And then our second segment is going to be a live training, which is 2 weeks from today. And it's going to be about the actual using of MLS that'll be able to go out and actually find and secure properties, what to look for and how to do it. So, guys, I'd like to kind of jump into today's webinar, talk a little bit about the overview of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be going over what acquisitions are and why you should do them, what kind of clients are acquisitions for, or what kind of type of investors you're going to be working with, the different kind of properties, angles, and approaches that you can use in today's market to go out there and actually find some property, what data to research for, and what data you're going to use to help you not only find properties but service your clients. Places to find inventory, which is definitely key today, being that it's a seller's market. Places that you can go out in there and actually find inventory or use that to be able to purchase yourself. We're also going to touch a little bit on making offers and negotiations, and then finally, refining your skills and getting these acquisitions down to be able to better service your clients or your needs. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to talk a little bit about acquisition and the definition of acquisition. It's basically the act of acquiring or gaining possession of. So that really means, acquiring. Acquisitions is basically acquiring the property. And of course, through real estate, that's either the purchasing of an investment property or representing another person acquiring that property. And so those are kind of the two different angles that we're going to be talking about today, which is, one, of course, being the principal in the transaction, actually buying that property yourself, and then two, being a real estate agent and representing somebody through that process of helping them purchase a property. So let's kind of take a little step back and talk about the key reasons why you should be doing acquisitions. There's a lot of different reasons why. I've kind of highlighted a few here. You're really primarily going to be dealing with more investment clients. Owner occupants don't necessarily acquisition property. They're going to be buying property based on emotion, which really means they're going to be looking at highlights and features, and having a pool or having an upstairs or the layout of the home. That's not really key into what investors are going to be looking for. Depending on the kind of acquisition and what they're going to be doing on the back end will determine some of those features. But really, you're going to be working a lot more with investment type clients. The good thing is too that these are repeat business clientels. They at times usually have a large purchase order. Either whether it be a rental client or fix and flip client or owner finance type client. A lot of the times the guys are going to be buying a lot of properties per month, and they usually at times can have a large purchase order through like a 1031 exchange. This can also redirect your whole business strategy. Sometimes I've had clients that have moved my entire business in a completely different direction. It also creates opportunities to wholesale, which, if you don't know what wholesaling is, it's basically tying up the property with a contract and selling the interest in that contract to another investor instead of actually representing them through a sale like through MLS. A lot of the times too, you'll have if you don't work like the high end residential market, most of the times this will actually produce a larger sales price. A lot of the times more through commercial than residential, but commercial, especially here in Texas, will often end up or you'll average a higher sales price than you would if you're working, just residential owner occupants. So that's another great key. It promotes ideas for personal investment strategy. As you and and also I'll kind of touch on this. It sometimes creates excellent business partnerships. So, guys, this is kind of touching a little bit on, when you're working with an investment client, they often sometimes take you in another direction by asking you, hey, I'm looking for a commercial property, or hey, we're kind of changing their strategy in a different direction, and sometimes it requires a different model, which and then will help you basically learn how that model works and know how it works and be able to acquisition properties based upon that. So a lot of the times it ends up making your personal investment education through actually servicing of those needs. And a lot of the times that's what ends up helping out you with your personal investments and what strategy you're going to be able to use. It also creates long-term growth and success if both parties are engaged and educated. And most of the time, it's quick cash compared to traditional sales. The reason why we kind of started out working investments, and that's the main goal we went with, was because it's a much quicker close when investors are using cash or hard money than you're using your traditional marketplace where you're looking at 30 to 45 days as an average type close date. So when you're acquisitioning for clients, keep in mind that this is kind of a quicker and easier way to get a sale down than if you go out there in a traditional marketplace. Next thing I want to talk about is your type of investment clients. There's really, oh man, and this thing kind of came out looking a little weird, but I'll touch on the last bit since it's marked out. But there's really 6 different types of or levels of real estate investors. Knowing who you're dealing with can play a major role in your acquisitions and kind of what you do with your actual strategy. Because depending upon the different investor you're working with, it depends on the level of time you're going to spend with them, the kind of properties you're going to look for, and probably the amount of success that you're going to have. And so I'll start with the first kind of investor, which is really your beginner or entry level investor. Really, those are clients that have not bought a property before or who haven't bought a property in years. These are guys that you may not want to spend a lot of time with, or at least kind of cultivate as well. You really want to kind of do some due diligence to make sure that they're, one, either getting educated on real estate investments, and two, they've got all their ducks in a row. They've got their team built for actually finding and acquiring the investment property. This is kind of a section that you don't want to spend a whole lot of time on because beginners sometimes will make you spin your wheels quite a bit and not get a lot of engagement and activity actually done for actually acquiring properties. So just be in mind, beware of beginners. Sometimes you really have to kind of pick and choose which ones you primarily want to deal with. The next step is the mom and pop investor. These are typically investors that only buy about 2 to maybe 6 properties a year. They may own a small portfolio themselves. They do have some real estate experience. They may also be working, a full-time job or part-time job, and real estate is something that they just kind of do on the side. They may have a lot of years of experience or years in the business, but they're really not huge, or they're not very engaged or doing a lot of activity, in the real estate industry. They're just buying a few properties a year, or they may buy just one a year. Those are definitely, investors that you want to keep on like your email database and your contact database to send out properties to them or to keep them in the loop. A lot of the times too, these guys have like certain farming areas that they work for, and that they only stay in those areas. So those are sometimes good clients to have if you have a property that comes up in those certain farming areas that they like and that they buy in, because those are good kind of in-house deals that you can kind of structure. The next type of investment client is your intermediate, which is sometimes it could be a part-time investor, but could be a full-time. They work a full-time job and do this on the side as well. But they typically buy about 6 to 15 properties a year. As you can see, they're a little bit more active in the real estate industry. I would say on average buy one property every 1 to 2 months. And I like to stay engaged with those kind of clients. I like to keep them, filled in on the pipeline and what we have going on. Some other properties that come up on MLS, try to get them out in the field sometimes to look at some certain properties. Those are also clients that typically buy just in a certain county. So, when you're looking at your mom and pop, they're usually buying in certain, maybe zip codes or even just subdivisions. Intermediates usually buy within a certain county and usually stay in those counties. But they're a little more active as far as a mom and pop, but they do have some experience, and they are pretty actively involved. So those are definitely good buyers to keep on your list. The next type of investment client is your advanced investors, or investors who are pretty much full time in the business. These are guys who are usually buying about 20 to 100 properties a year. They're usually buying in a certain metroplex, so they're usually buying in, could be 2, 3, 10 different counties within that metroplex. They could also be possibly buying in different areas of the state. Just depends on who you're working with. But those are the kind of clients that you want to be working with a lot, and that you want to, or also kind of, what was I going to say? Kind of files that you want to kind of go after. These are people that you want to keep on your buyers list. You want to keep them fulfilled. You want to be the agent that helps bringing them inventory, because they're going to be buying a lot of properties per month. So you want to help keep them kind of loaded up and full, to keep them busy and happy. Your next kind of step up from that investment client is your corporate clients. These are guys that are buying a lot of property, anywhere from 200 to 1,000 properties a year. They're typically buying it based on a state, and then they're looking at metropolitan areas within that state. And they can range from a small corporate size to a large corporate size, depending on, kind of their acquisition model and what they're doing. These are large accounts that you really have to kind of, how would I put it? Kind of smooth your way in, I'd say. I say that the best way to get in front of these guys is to research them, find out their acquisition manager, keep in touch with them, send them emails, maybe visit them or sit down one-on-one. Those are accounts that you want to kind of represent yourself as an investor and an agent to help them, source more deals, and, just start sending them some property, find out their criteria, go out and find some property for them, and then just start, plugging away and seeing if you can find them. And sometimes you can create a whole business just out of one corporate account. So those are really clients that you want to go after and chase down. Your last type of investment client is a REIT, which is a real estate investment trust. These are publicly traded investment corporations that primarily buy like large commercial, multifamily land development. They also buy like brokerages as well. They're usually pretty diverse as far as the type of asset and also the areas. They're usually, across the United States. They're not depending upon just one state or one subdivision or one metropolitan area. But these are a little bit tougher to get in front of. They sometimes work with brokers in the community, but these are really for more if you're doing a lot of higher end commercial or larger developments or multifamily. REITs are corporations that you want to get in touch with to sell those kind of investment properties. But for an individual agent, that's going to be really tough unless you're in that niche. So just wanted to put that out there so y'all know. But it's a little bit tougher if you're kind of looking to just get started, in the acquisition model. Let's go on the next one. We have acquisition types. So really, I wanted to touch on this because we really have either a seller or a buyer as far as the acquisition type that you're going to go after, and really kind of want to touch a little bit upon kind of your approach or angle working with these different types. And keep in mind, either you're working as a agent or you're going to be working as a principal. And so, from a seller standpoint, you're really trying to go out there, and from seller, I mean, like, properties or product. You're really trying to go out there and find motivation, because motivation is going to be key for not only getting them to the closing table, but finding property at the right price, and then being able to service that property to your client's needs. Typically, sellers have a certain number that they want to net. So depending on the seller's position and depending on what they want, is kind of dependent upon whether you're going to wear your investment hat or your realtor hat whenever you go on that appointment. A lot of the times they don't want to pay commissions, which is also a lot of times why we usually go in there with an investment type approach. Only because if we go in there with as an agent, a lot of the times they're going to be pushing back as far as not wanting to list the property, and most of the time we're going on this appointment because there's either a divorce or bankruptcy, or the property needs a ton of repairs, and it's not going to fit the retail market if we were to go list it on MLS. So just keep in mind they typically don't want to pay commissions. And if you were servicing this property to someone's needs, then you would tie that up as a contract and wholesale that out to that investor. If it's something that you're looking to buy for yourself, then of course you can use that kind of no commission tactic as a good negotiation skill. And then of course, knowing what your back end buyer wants can help really narrow down that purchase price, and know kind of what bottom dollar number you need to get that seller down to be able to work for your clients. And that comes with some experience of working with your clients, knowing what they want, kind of feeling out and knowing what their model is. As you start to do it more and more and more, you start to become familiar with kind of what they're looking for. So kind of makes it easier for you to get that property in contract and then not have to go back and renegotiate. And then, so let's kind of flip over to the buyer section. On the buyer section, this is really for more clients of what you're looking for or properties that you're looking to buy. Really, there's only three different kind of categories or strategies for investors. Either investors looking to flip a property, buying and selling it, or buying, leasing up and selling, or developing something brand new, which is basically the acquiring of the property and then the disposition of the property at a later date. The second category is basically renting, which means acquiring the property, either stabilizing it or buying something that's turnkey, that they're looking for some sort of return on. And then owner financing, which is basically looking for buyers that can't qualify for your traditional market, that have a substantial down payment and not based on credit score, but based on income, they're able to qualify for the property, which there's a lot of that, of course, going on in today's market. Just to kind of touch a little bit on these, flip properties, they're typically looking at a loan to value ratio. So, most investors are looking at properties based upon what their lenders will lend on the home. So if hard money lenders are going out at 75% of loan to value minus repairs, that's typically going to be the investor's model. So that's something to ask the investor is, what does your type of financing look like, and what kind of preferred return are you looking for as well? And that'll help kind of narrow down what their acquisition is going to be. As far as a rental property, depending if it's residential, commercial, which direction they're looking to go. Usually they're either looking at a rent ratio, a cap rate, or some sort of preferred return that the investors are looking at long term over the property. So these are definitely qualifying questions that you want to ask, and of course, ask yourself if you're going to be buying homes, what kind of ratio are you looking at? What kind of preferred return do you need? And then putting that all into a cap rate can help you kind of identify which asset's going to work best for that client or for yourself. And then typically with owner financing, most investors are going to be primarily looking at a certain down payment, whether that be percentage or just a flat number. And then they're also going to be looking for a number spread, which is not really most of the time, sometimes it's not a percentage of, from sales price to all in price, what they're looking for. Sometimes it's just a blanket number like 20,000, 30,000. A lot of the times, because most of the time they're selling these lower end properties, stuff that's under 150, at least in our market. And, they're probably looking at just a number that they're looking to net or between the difference of the two instead of a percentage of the property. So just FYI, these are definitely some key indicators of what you're going to be looking for and some things to ask for your clients to better understand what they need and what they want so you can do your job a lot better. I want to talk a little bit about too the acquisition approach, being as from an agent standpoint, from a or comparison to a principal or buying the property yourself. What that kind of looks like as a difference. Because as an agent, you're really sourcing deals through different avenues and different ways through MLS. Things that really a principal, if they didn't have an agent, sometimes things that they wouldn't even know of or know how to do. So it's kind of the benefit of being an agent or representing somebody is because you have a certain number of avenues through MLS that make things a little bit different and make it easier for you to source deals. You can also advertise as an investment agent, which also helps you, collect more clients and helps collect more buyers for selling investment properties, which you can really help, build your database doing it that way. You can service investment clients' needs and be open to different categories that are unknown to you. A lot of the times, whenever you're looking at getting into real estate, you may have a certain level of knowledge of a certain criteria or niche that people want, but really going through the process of working with a new client or working with a seasoned client that may challenge you to look in different areas or different approaches, not only helps you as an agent, but it also helps you as a investor and helps you find out what things you may want to use for your own personal business. And then, of course, expanding your client base and level of experience is kind of goes along with that. And that's kind of the benefit of being an agent and helping out other, servicing the needs of other investors and learning those kinds of acquisitions helps make you a more rounded agent as your own. So in comparison to that, being in a principal, coincide with some of the duties as an agent, you can also source different partnerships or lenders to help you purchase properties. And that's definitely something that you're going to need whenever you become a principal or become a real estate investor. Because if you're an agent servicing a client and a certain property comes up that you may, now have a private money lender for or hard money lender for, some of these clients that you may have been servicing, you can now source as a partner to help put together a deal and structure a deal that, you can be the principal or a part principal in a project and not just take a commission. So, these service items definitely help you become a better investor and a better partner. But it's also something that you'll need as an investment client or as an investor to be able to help further your business. It also helps represent yourself as an investor. This is something too that if you're going on an appointment, you really want to identify yourself as one or the other, or at least the reason for that appointment. Of course, with Trek laws, you always have to disclose that you are an agent upon first substantial dialogue, which I usually like to do over the phone initially. But if it looks like this is going to be more of an investment property, I'm typically going on that appointment as an investor. And then, of course, building your team for flipping, renting, or owner financing. That's something that, you really need to do as an investor to help make your business completely be fulfill and be able to run and operate. It's completely different than being an agent. As an agent servicing investors, you don't really need a huge, team like contractors and, lenders and different title companies and different subcontractors and, all the stuff that goes into the actual buying and selling of real estate. As an agent, you don't need to have. That's something the investor needs to have. But if you're looking to switch over to being that investor, that's something that you need to look forward into building to be able to make sure that you can run and operate efficiently. Now, let's kind of look into the sources for acquisitions for clients. And of course, there's a lot of different ways that you can help source deals. This is primarily geared towards being an agent because as an agent, you're either going to be sourcing deals for clients, but as an investor, a lot of times you can use agents to help go source a lot of these deals. So a lot of this may not pertain to that. You can go out there and use that as an investor, but it's really more geared towards being a real estate agent. And of course, the biggest one is, of course, going through the internet. There's a lot of forums online, classified ads, of course, using MLS as a good sourcing tool for that, for finding and sourcing property. Different meetup groups. I know there's a ton of different meetup groups here in the area that you can use to go out there and source deals. Investment education seminars. these are great tools to go network at and meet at, to go source new clients, find out new people who are looking for certain deals. These are what I like about education seminars is that you can sometimes find out some new information at the seminar, but really, guys, it's a good place to go network, and it really builds your team and also build the clientele that you're actually looking for. Also, it's the internet's a great way to go find seller leads, and I'm not talking about finding seller leads like on Zillow. I'm talking about sourcing out different uh, lead generators that'll bring seller leads to you, like RedX or ZBuyer or some of the other softwares out there that will help basically pay per lead or pay per service per month to help bring in leads that are either motivated sellers or seller leads that you can call on and create some motivation. And then, of course, searching for investment clients is one thing that I kind of did in the beginning to help just find, an investment client. I'll tell you that a lot of investment corporations are found, or they actually have a website. So your advanced investors, your corporate investors, your REITs. Most of these companies have an online website with some contact information. So if you're wanting to go this angle and you're wanting to work with those kind of clients, a lot of times just doing some Google searching and just going to the second, third, fourth pages and just sifting through Google is a good way to help search and go find new clients that way. And a lot of times those are some of your biggest and best clients. So it starts with searching them and finding them, and then cultivating that relationship, and then eventually sourcing and finding them deals. And through that process, you've now built a relationship that you can now have, a client for the long term. Next thing I want to talk about is networking. Of course, your network is going to be something key to be able to source more clients and be able to source more deals. Using realtors, investors of all types, lenders, attorneys, contractors, and builders. These are all great sources to go out there and find, not only new clients, new investor clients, but also find motivated sellers and deals as well. And then, of course, referrals, asking for referrals from your network, from the leads that you create, also from the clients and deals that you're also working with as well. And then I always say that you want to do some sort of press releases, and this could be delivered through email, could be delivered through Facebook or social media, could be delivered through just talking with other clients or setting up a meeting or speaking at a education seminar. But these are things that you want to highlight, your different interviews or achievements, your highlights that you're doing in your brokerage, any kind of charities or sponsorships that you're putting on as well. And just think too that these things you want to be doing at least on a monthly basis, because you want to be notified in the actual marketplace that you're either a real estate investor or a real estate agent that's servicing these investment clients in that way. So definitely take into account a lot of these different ways that you can help source clients, but not only source clients, but source deals and be able to use that for your benefit. Now, once we've kind of sourced our clients or sourced some deals, there's some data to research that most investors want, or most real estate agents are going to need or going to have to go do to help their clients or help themselves either find, acquire, analyze property, or be able to go through the process. And so, the biggest thing is, of course, MLS. MLS is really just a big software, a big service, just basically for a lot of data. A lot of investors use these different types of data sources for either looking up certain numbers on properties they want to make offers on, looking in certain areas that they want to target, looking at certain ways to find some motivated sellers, and that just goes into account with all these different segments. So like looking at price per foot or foreclosure rate in certain areas, pulling up year build or different search criterias, looking at cash transactions compared to financing transactions in certain target areas, going off of expireds or days on market. That's all certain data that either intermediate, advanced, corporate, or REIT clients are going to be looking for. And these are also certain ways that, or certain information that you want to look for to help find out and know what exactly you're looking at, or at least be able to target certain areas that you want to go after. These are also ways to find, motivated sellers, to be able to find certain deals. Just if you look at, price per foot, you pull up a certain zip code, looking at price per foot under $60 a foot, and if most properties in that area are going for $100 a foot, or maybe a little bit less, then if something pulls up, then that property usually has maybe some value, and you can use that as an advantage to be able to send to your client, or to be able to send an offer in, get it under contract, and get some control over it, and then either buy it yourself or sell it to another investor. So that certain angle is maybe used for searching, and then of course these other, like looking at cash transactions, will be able to tell you in a certain marketplace if does this area will have more cash transactions, and are those more of an owner occupant, or are those more investors that are buying up in certain areas. So that'll tell you too if it's more of if there's a lot of investors buying up the marketplace, if that's more of a saturated area, you may not want to go into, or do you need to go look at somewhere else where there's a lot of finance transactions, and you can make a cash offer and be able to secure something for a bigger discount. So just take into account some of those different things that you can look for to be able to source either certain deals or get certain data for your clients that they're going to need. Also, you want to look at the different kinds of properties, whether there's more for sale by owners, more estate sales, divorce, pre-foreclosures, certain target zip codes, subdivisions, or even counties that have more one thing than the other. And of course, you can find a lot of that through online websites, or through buying some lists and knowing where those marketplaces are. CMAs, of course, not only for yourself, but almost every client is going to want a CMA, done on a property, and that's a skill that you're going to have to kind of learn and perfect over the time and over the years. It's everyone's going to want one, whether it be for sale or be for lease. I'd say those are kind of the only two, CMAs most investors are going to want. But you need to be able to know how to pull a CMA and how to do that quickly, and arrive to a very safe or defined target price that you're going to be promoting to that client or believe in. And then of course Google, I would say Google is kind of what we talked about as well, researching different corporations, REITs, and advanced investors to help source new clients for yourself. And then you always want to compile information for marketing and client efforts. I would say that you want to put a lot of this information into a marketing platform where you're either emailing this stuff out, or you're sending out, good market updates, or you're sending out, hey, we researched this area, or research the zip code, and it's something that you may not want to invest in or go into, but you may want to invest in these areas. That's going to be information that's going to help not only kind of market yourself, but it's going to be good information for your client. In basically putting forth that effort, it's going to help you be the client or the agent that they want to go to and service to use for their needs. The next thing I just want to touch a little bit on is basically finding inventory on MLS. And this is a little bit about what we're going to go over, in the following segment in 2 weeks, about how to really find properties on MLS, and how to notify those and really see those as a source for finding deals. So we're going to be going over some of this stuff in our next segment, but I just kind of wanted to touch on a little bit about, why we use MLS for finding inventory and kind of what we look for. And a lot of it is really just finding some motivation, how to find that, where to look for it. Looking for unskilled agents that maybe not have a lot of experience, but you kind of just talk with and kind of, get some tidbits on finding out, hey, is this guy really knows what he's doing or not? Using that to your advantage to maybe get a better deal for your client. Poorly listed properties, or properties that don't have all the information or have hardly any information. Long days on market, using that as a key indicator for finding more deals. Incorrect information listed, or listed in the complete wrong category. And then also networking with other agents and using the MLS as a network to help find other agents that also might be investor friendly, that you can work alongside and work along with. Want to talk next segment about offers. Offers. You want to make a lot of offers per week. I usually kind of set forth a minimum standard or minimum amount of offers that I want to put out per week. and then break that down per day, and then see how many properties we want to be putting out offers on each day to help make those work and to help get out the amount of offers we need, to get that, to be able to service that client's needs for that month. So if a client wants, 5 properties, or let's just say 4 properties, which is 1 property a week, and each property usually takes about, let's just say 20 to 30 offers, then that means we need to be putting out at least 4 to 5 properties, or sorry, offers a day to be able to secure that 1 property a week. So those are some numbers that you want to look at. And of course, you're not going to find those out until you start actually making offers. And sometimes that can be a little bit different for different types of clients. If one client wants a smoking hot deal and the other client wants a turnkey property and willing to pay any kind of price for it, those amount of offers are definitely going to differ between the two kind of clients. So you want to make sure that you kind of have your numbers down as far as how you're going to be able to service those clients' needs. Don't be afraid to make lowball offers. And I've had a lot of agents tell me that they don't even want to make the offer because it's so low. Well, guys, sometimes making a lowball offer is going to get denied or kicked back or have no response. But a lot of the times it'll maybe start that conversation up with the seller about, okay, maybe we need to come to grips about actually selling it for a reduced price, or spark that conversation that you may not have known the sellers were motivated or have something going on in their life that they need to sell, but you hit them at the right time at the right place, and maybe it's right within range of what their bottom dollar is. So you never know until you make the offer, and you're never going to get the right deal until you actually ask for it. So don't be afraid to send out a lowball offer. It'll be one of the key reasons why you get some of the deals that you get. So don't be afraid to do that. It's also good to kind of templatize your offering system. If you have a certain client that does want to send out 5 offers a day, you want to make a template for their actual contract. So that means it'll be a lot more efficient on your end as far as being able to write those down, write them out, and be able to send them out as well. And also having permission to sign on behalf of your client also makes that process a lot quicker and easier. I'm not saying that you have to bound your client to certain deals, but at least being able to get the offer out without having to send all these files over to him in DocuSign, having him waiting on him to sign all those and send it back. It's much easier if you can just sign on their behalf and send them out. Just make sure that you have written permission from them to be able to do that. And then, of course, don't forget to make offers for yourself, because, of course, the whole goal here is to not only acquisition for your clients, but be able to acquisition for your own personal investment strategy. Now, when it gets down to the negotiation side of the real estate acquisition, there's a lot of tools that you can use and a lot of angles that you can use as well. But really, it's all about assessing the seller's situation, depending upon what type of seller it is, and that'll really dictate your approach for your negotiation. So, guys, a seller, individual seller compared to a bank is going to have different ways of negotiations and different emotions as far as negotiations as well. So you need to kind of keep those in account whenever you're basically submitting your offer, and then using certain things to either change your offer or stay hard or firm on, that's going to be more inclined to be able to have accepted or be able to have declined. So, guys, for example, if you're making an offer to a bank, a bank is really just based on the numbers and what they're looking at to net. And so if you are looking at buying this yourself, or maybe buying it and flipping it over to or making your own fix and flip project, you may want to take out your commissions. You may get it for a lower price that way. So that's an angle that you can use. If you're looking at buying it from an individual seller, a lot of the times there's a little more emotion involved, and sometimes also throwing in your commissions, which is down there at the very bottom, is a good negotiation tool. But maybe having a quick close or high earnest money, or maybe not asking for any kind of repairs and making those some obvious negotiations or some highlights will definitely help your offer in getting it accepted. The biggest thing is that when you send out some of these offers that may be lowball, of course their first reaction is going to be, oh, hell no, I don't want to take that, or this is totally unacceptable, or the seller is not going to go for that at all. Well, a lot of times, don't take that as a no. Take that as a possibility, and really highlight the best features of your offer, even though that one of the features, which is the price, which is the most important, may not be the price that they want or the number that they want, but push the other features, push the other sections of your contract, because those are going to be the sections that really get the property done or get the deal done, so you can be able to negotiate and go forward with the contract. Also just knowing kind of what your seller wants or what their seller's really biggest needs are will help you and be able to writing that offer that helps everyone getting that to the closing table. Last thing I want to talk about is just kind of refining your skills. Really you want to help refine your CMAs, your negotiations, your analyzing and prospecting skills. Going out there, being able to best serve your clients' needs, whether it be getting data, information, or CMAs on a property, being able to analyze or find different areas or skills or properties that these clients might need, negotiating and closing the deal for them. Those are certain skills that you always want to be refining and being able to work better with on certain clients and certain needs. Using your principal approach to really heighten your skills as well is a really big key factor. Here at Real Estate Reformation, we always try to promote the agents to work as an investor themselves, which is in turn, it's going to help better service their clients' needs. You're going to be a lot more educated and knowledgeable of construction and negotiations and acquiring property, and the strategy to help go through the process or what to use properties for. That's what's really going to help promote you as not only as a better agent, but as a better real estate investor on your own. And always be open to new deals, different types of property and different types of deal structures, because as you start to grow, your clients will probably grow with you, and so you really want to be knowledgeable, or at least open-minded to working different types of deals and structures, to make you a better agent, but also help them create their goals and strategies to help them grow as well. And then be creative in the searching for new clients and building new relationships. I've always thought that you could never get in touch with these corporations or REITs, and to my knowledge, I didn't know that you could just search them on Google and find them on the websites and just go out and contact them. So don't be afraid to go out there and search around and contact these big corporations and try to get your foot in the door. You never know where it will go, and you never know where it will end up, for you to be able to grow your own business. And so guys, that kind of wraps up our first segment of the acquisition model. And as we kind of go into the next following weeks, we're going to be having a second portion on this class, which will be held, live here at our office over here at Park Row in Arlington. It'll be on October 6th. It'll be at noon here at the office. We'll also go be recording this live. So, if you can't make it down here, you have something that's already planned, it will be recorded, and then we'll be sending that out to you in a link. And so you can be able to look for any properties, be able to look and see what our way of acquiring properties is, and how we do that through MLS, and how we go look for different properties, what kind of key indicators we're looking for, and certain ways of approaching these listings and what to look for, which are going to be key items on kind of what we talked about today, moving forward with your business. Just some highlights too I want to touch on. Our website is now live. You can check it out at therealreform.com. You can also, if you'd like to become a mentor or trainer, please email us at therealreform@gmail.com. Guys, I'd like to thank y'all for joining us for today's webinar. I'll be staying around for like the next 5 minutes if you guys have any questions or concerns. And I hope today's week goes good for you. Hope this information was good. I hope that y'all can come to the next segment, which I'm really excited about touching on. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you.